Hi guys, I'm Nina.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ethan.
And we are Bloody Essentials. We just want to thank everybody really quick who's already supported this podcast. It really means a lot to us and it helps the podcast out very much. Also, quick shout out to our Patreon, Rick Paulton. We really appreciate you and all you do for us. If you want to be mentioned in our episodes as well and receive fun little goodies from the whole Bloody Essentials team, you can join our Patreon, and we have fun perks such as a Discord channel where you can chat directly with us. We send you little gifts throughout the year, and we also have fun monthly movie parties that we're going to be setting up real soon. And also the Horror House shop. If you want to shop with them online, you can go to crypticloset.com and get 10% off by using promo code Bloody Essentials.
All right, guys, it is less than a month away. Our horror trivia event, our online horror trivia event. If you want to participate, you need to sign up on one of our socials or through our email by September 21st. It is Friday, October 4th when we're doing it. There is a first and a second place prize. First place prize is between $75 and $100. Second place prize is between $50 and $75. We are well exceeding what we're telling everybody is going to go in there because we keep putting stuff in there. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff that is going in. There's autographs, DVDs, independent DVDs, posters. There's a whole lot of stuff. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So we really would like for you to reach out to us. Once we get it on the 21st, we're going to put everybody's name in a hat, pull everybody's name out so it's fair for everybody. Then we will contact you and let you know exactly what we are going to do.
Yep.
And how everything's going to be run.
And we also have an exciting announcement to make about an in-person trivia event here in Chicago.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh.
October 24th at 7:30 p.m. We will be at Sound Growler out in Tinley Park, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to have a prize for the winning team or individual person. So if you want to come out and meet us in person, hang out with us, grab a drink. They've got great food. It's going to be a great time. And our other upcoming appearance is going to be at Days of the Dead Chicago, November 22nd through the 24th. All right. I think that's everything. We do have a guest with us tonight too, actually. We have the hosts of Blood in the Cornfields podcast, and they're going to be joining us for a movie review.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
What's up?
Welcome.
What's up? That is so cool. Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all for having us.
Yes.
And it's so funny to talk
be
about
here.
Days of the Dead because Chicago, I'm going to be there. Days of the Dead Chicago.
Oh, yay.
Awesome.
We'll have to hang out.
Absolutely. I'll hit you all up.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Are you guys local here in Chicago?
No, we're from Indiana.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, kind of Mishawaka, South Bend area. So not too
But
Okay.
we're all Midwest.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, South Bend. You're not far from us.
Nope.
Not far at all. I can see you guys from where I stoop at the lake.
That's awesome.
Ah, see, that's cool.
And I live in the burbs, so I'm only about 35, 40 minutes from you.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Nice.
So
And I'm in Tucson, Arizona, so I'm far from all of y'all. But
Wow.
All right.
but
For
we're
now.
working on that, right?
we're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's
So-
got to come back to the Midwest.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it's at. People are just so friendly out here. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do and how you kind of got started.
Well, we should probably introduce ourselves.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm Marc.
And I'm Ivy.
And of course, like they had said, we're Blood in the Cornfield. So so we have a unique way that we actually kind of started this podcast. So it all kind of started with my absolutely best friend in the world, actually, unfortunately passed away. He was huge into horror movies. I grew up watching horror movies with him all the time. Like, he is the reason I got into horror. And so his name was Blake. And when he passed away, he went to a funeral home. So now we're, like I said, we're small town Indiana. So I was going to this funeral expecting it to be pretty terrible. Like, I didn't want it to be super religious because Blake wasn't like really religious. And I wanted it to be like
Sure.
some horror stuff, but I was not banking on it at all. So you know, I show up, one of the first people there, and kind of is seeing how things are. And it's like decked out with horror stuff, like everywhere. And the soundtrack that they had playing, I'm like, holy shit, like this is on point. And I'm like, I didn't do this. I know no one else in his inner circle or his family, like his dad didn't reach out to me to have it done. And so I'm like, who did this? Like who all did this? And they introduced me to this one.
Yeah.
Aww.
I was the funeral director. I was not the funeral director in charge of Blake's services, but I was the funeral director that was helping the head funeral director. And he basically said, hey, you're the goth chick that knows everything about horror. Can you please put together like a playlist, and can you bring some stuff from home to really decorate this? Because one of the things that I first noticed when Blake came into our care was all his tattoos. And they were epic tattoos because they were like Evil Dead.
So yeah, he had an Evil Dead sleeve. He had House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects on his whole entire leg. He had a bunch of stupid other tattoos too, but yeah, they were primarily all horror stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what she picked up on. And, you know, she was like, I have to kind of put this together. And I'm so thankful that she did. And like I tell her all the time, but the best compliment I ever could have given her was the one that I did, is when I first met her, I said like, hey, I couldn't tell that you didn't know Blake.
Wow.
Like I had like seeing everything set up and, you know, all the props, like I couldn't tell that she didn't know my best friend, which is kind of crazy to think about. So
I remember his dad said, hey, I'm giving you free power over the playlist.
Yeah.
Just do whatever you want. And so I put together like a whole bunch of like horror soundtrack, you know, like a lot of the like metal music from horror soundtracks. And then I also had a lot of other things like metal music, but it was akin to the situation. And I wanted to make sure that it really embraced who he was as a person. And I feel so lucky and blessed to have done anything like that. That was the coolest experience for me, being able to do that and to have met Marc that way.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, right off the bat, before I even met her, like I just had such a profound respect for her and what she did, you know, because that was like my best friend at the most vulnerable time, especially when I was very vulnerable, because that was really the first death that I had experienced that really hit home. And so like her going about it the way she did made it a lot easier, because it just took that stress off my back of being like, oh dude, like I don't want to show up and have this thing be stupid. Like he wouldn't have wanted that. So kind of a unique meeting for us, but we are a very unique podcast. Yes. We do everything and anything. So roughly it's covered all things horror. So we will talk about horror movies. We'll do watch parties. We'll interview directors. We do all sorts of stuff. We will even show off our own personal collection, because I am a horror collector. So we'll do kind of that stuff. So basically anything in the horror genre. Also, we're metalheads. So I grew up playing in heavy metal bands in this area. And Ivy loves her, you know.
I just love to headbang, and I love to go out there and thrash.
So, you know, bands in the past. We've helped out with shows. We've, you know, done green room tables and stuff like that at shows. And then we do Midwest true crime. So we do true crime stories from the victim's aspect, because in a world where there's glorification about the killers, you know, a la the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series, we don't really dig that. We tell the stories, how brutal they happened. We don't leave out details, because from the victim's perspective, like that is something that actually happened to a person. Like, no matter how brutal the story is, like somebody literally experienced that. And so we feel that their story needs to be told. So we tell it from the killer's perspective. And we're going to be dabbling in some cryptids. We do literally everything.
We're going to try to dabble in some cryptids here coming soon.
Oh, it's all going to
It's all going to be you, because I ain't going to half those places. I got a family to feed. Go right ahead.
And then lastly, I guess we would say we do events here in the area, primarily in like the Goshen, Mishawaka area. Like September 27th, we have a screening of Cult of Blood, Robbie Lopez film. So he's kind of touring around the country. It's got Felissa Rose, Michael St. Michael, some other good, you know, people in it. So we're having kind of some people do like short films presentations and previews and stuff because we have some director friends.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a punk band called Leatherface play, and then we're going to present the movie. So we do all sorts of stuff. Like there isn't anything that I don't think we won't like
We'll
put
do
our stamp on.
anything. It'll be fun. We
And
just
I'll
roll
randomly,
with it.
I'll dress up as Krampus and scare kids downtown and where we live. So
Yes.
we do it
That's
all.
amazing.
Oh,
was
love that.
Yeah. So
Oh. What are some of your guys' favorite horror movies? We always love to ask and nerd about those a bit.
you
I mean, we're
because
okay,
I'm going
so-
to talk
so
forever
we're-
on this. You know,
I know. So we're in my basement. This is the basement that my husband and I have kind of built up, put together. I mean, you obviously
It's
can
our-
see Jason back here.
it's our studio.
yeah.
Yeah. Jason was actually at our wedding. We got married on a Friday the 13th.
Nice.
So
Oh.
easy to say. Friday the 13th is our favorite franchise. Also, Creature. I thought it was really fitting
Yes.
for today.
Yes.
And then, of course, anything Chucky or Child's Play related for us specifically.
Love it.
So for me, and anyone that listens to this knows this, I am a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 diehard.
Ah,
Nice.
yes.
Absolute diehard. Bill Moseley, my favorite actor, Chop Top, my favorite all-time character. He's going to be there in Chicago. I'm stoked. I'm going to have him.
Yep.
I have a tattoo picked out. So there's one of our listeners is a tattoo artist. She's in the apprentice stage, and I'm holding her to it because she has a Chop Top like flash art that she just did before
my
she was even
gosh.
tattooing. So I'm like, we're doing this. So I'm going to have Bill sign my thigh, and I'm going to take a bunch of different pictures. And then go back and have her tattoo the piece with Bill Moseley's signature underneath it. So a huge,
That's gonna be
huge
sick.
Texas too fan.
That's fucking cool. Man.
Yeah,
That's
and I
awesome.
used to live in
Oh.
Texas. I lived in Texas
Oh.
for about 11 years, near Bastrop, where the Texas gas station is. I don't know. if
Yes,
any of
I've
you
been
heard of
there.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't
So, yeah.
been.
I have been there several times. Have you ever stayed?
Not at the gas station, no.
Yeah, I've stayed there 3 different times. It is killer to be staying in those cabins watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like,
Ah,
yeah, they even put it up on the screen out in that little
Yeah.
yard area. Yeah, they put it on for us. So
It's a really cool place.
That's
yeah.
on my
Oh,
bucket list of
fun.
things to do.
it's on my bucket list too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I lived in Texas long enough that when that was bought, it was rumored that like that's what they were gonna do, and it was rumored someone in the film industry had bought it, and so it took like 3 to 4 years for that to even show up. So it was like this rumor that I was just waiting to come to fruition and actually be true. And then when it was, I like lost my mind. I lost my mind.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I love that
It's like
place.
finally.
It's
Yeah.
very special, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So tonight we are actually talking about a found footage film, which is our very first. And if you are a regular listener, you know how Ethan is just absolutely thrilled about that.
Absolutely.
But we decided to go with Cloverfield because it was one of the first, Blair Witch is obviously the first that we really give credit to, but Cloverfield kind of brought it back. 2008 was a big year for found footage. So I credit Cloverfield for really that and Paranormal Activity. They kind of brought it back to what it is today. So I want to ask each of you guys, when was the first time you guys saw Cloverfield? We'll start with our Blood in the Cornfields guests.
You go ahead, Mark.
Okay,
You
so
go first, man.
I actually went and saw this in theaters when it came out. I'm a bit older, so I was still, fairly old in 2008, I believe is when it came out.
Yes.
So yeah, I saw it in theaters, but I honestly, guys, I hadn't really seen it since I recently rewatched it again because I didn't even know that there were some like stars fresh in it. Yeah. I didn't even realize that. So yeah, it was in 2008 in the theaters.
I have a confession to make because I thought I had already seen Cloverfield, but no, I only saw 10 Cloverfield Lane. And I did not realize that when I went into it. I was like, I'm just going to watch the same movie again. Oh, this is different. And it's also not found footage. So, like, you mentioned it was found footage. I'm like, no, it's not. I've seen it before.
John Goodman's in it, right?
I was like, and then I started watching it. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, I guess I haven't seen this. I just assumed I did. So that was the first time I saw it. Was literally
Oh,
a couple
cool.
days ago. It was good. It's a pretty good. I wouldn't say it's great, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. As far as found footage movies go, I'd say the best, in my opinion, is still Cannibal Holocaust, but that's just me.
It's me too. It's me too. I think that's like the best found footage ever. It's brilliant and nasty and but I'm so with you. Additionally, I haven't seen Cloverfield until like this week either. I was like 19 when it came out, and I remember I was like really getting into horror at the time. I wasn't being a snob, but I think I saw trailers and I was like, I don't know if I'm interested in this. I don't know if it's my thing. So then I know I've put it on in the background. Some of the scenes looked familiar to me, but I definitely have not seen the full movie until like 2 days ago. I kind of like found footage. I'm picky about it. I don't like all of them, but I actually thought Cloverfield was a pretty good entry in footage. So I liked it. Wasn't my favorite, but I did like it.
Okay. Should I go and then you, Ethan?
Sure, go ahead, Nina.
Okay. So I went to see it in theaters. I didn't see it like right away. I kind of waited, and back then we had this thing where we had like the $2 movies or the $5 movies or whatever that like just before it was going to go to DVD, it went to this theater. Yep. So that's when I saw it. I paid like $2.50, I think. Yeah, $2.50. Because I kept hearing from all my friends that it was like this great movie and you just couldn't believe it. And I saw it and I remember I was like, my mind was like blown. And I'm going to save what I think of it now for the end. But I remember at the time really enjoying it, and I had not revisited it since. So it was kind of a interesting revisit. Ethan, what about you?
Well, everybody knows I've been into horror for most of my life, so 40 years. And it came out in 2008, and the first time that I seen it was 2 days ago, and that was on purpose.
Wow.
Yep, it was on purpose, and I probably would not have watched it had it not been for the podcast. I will save what I thought of it for after we talk for a little bit.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear this.
Awesome. So we're going to get into plot points for really quick, and well, not really quick. It's the bulk of the episode, but come with me, guys, on this journey. And feel free to interrupt, add anything that you thought like about the acting, the cinematography, whatever it is. Okay. All right. So plot points of Cloverfield 2008. So first off, we get this caption on the screen, and it just says the camera was retrieved at incident site US 447, formerly known as Central Park. So we assume the movie is going to end in Central Park. And I just want to throw this out. We get pieces of Rob, our main character, and Beth. They had a little bit of a fling before the events of this movie. They kind of were dating, kind of not. Rob had a big crush on her pretty much the entire time. He's known her through college. We get pieces of their date to Coney Island scattered throughout the movie. All right. And the reason why we get that is because it was originally recorded on the tape that Rob's friend is taping over. So Lily and Jason is Rob's brother. They are on their way to Rob's apartment. Rob is moving to Japan for work. So Lily wants Rob to record everybody's farewell messages so that Rob can watch it after he moves. And Jason's basically like, I'm not doing that. So he pawns it off to HUD.
HUD. I was wondering for the longest time, like, do they ever say his real name? I'm just going to assume it's Hudson. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, okay, I was right. It's just such a weird name.
Right.
And fun little fact I have to throw in there, HUD is also an acronym for Heads Up Display, which has to do with the video camera.
That's
interesting.
Pretty fun, right?
That is fun.
Really good.
I will say during the party sequence where you're getting all these farewell messages filmed, there was some music that I had blocked out from my brain from like middle school and high school days.
I agree.
Yes.
I haven't heard that shit in years.
Yeah, I was like,
the Gorillas came
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Like, oh, geez.
I will have to say one thing though, like
Yeah.
TJ Miller being like the main person behind the camera for most of it was grating to my ears. I don't mind him, but there's times where I'm just like, oh my god, please shut up.
Yeah.
Shut
I
up,
know.
dude.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
similar to like right now, and my husband's gonna fucking laugh at me later. But like I have a real problem about Awkwafina being like a voice actress now.
Oh
And
my
I'm just
god.
like, dude, this is the same thing. This is the equivalent. I can't stand this. This is part of the reason I had to like take bits and pieces out of the movie, and I had to like wait till my son was asleep because I'm like, I'm trapped here.
Oh my god, that's great. I just remember the actress that played Marlena was like everywhere during 2008. So like I was so excited to see her.
Busy
But
Kaplan, yeah.
yeah, she was everywhere.
She
like,
was
fell off the
in
face
Mean
of the earth.
Girls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
She's
she was
awesome.
Janice.
She's in a bunch of cool stuff.
she was
I don't
Janice.
think I've fully seen Mean Girls.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. It's
I
a
don't
good
think
one.
I have.
It's a good one.
I haven't either, Mark. So
Okay, I'll say I know about it.
Boys.
I don't think I've seen it.
You can't sit with us.
Yeah, you can't sit with us.
I'm used
Yeah.
to kind of
No.
being the smelly kid or the weird kid, so we're good. We're good.
But it's revealed that our cameraman HUD has a giant crush on Marlena, and it is clearly not reciprocated.
Yeah, not at
Yeah,
all.
she is not having it.
She's
No.
not having it.
Yeah. So during this whole like filming of the farewell messages, we learned that, you know, Beth and Rob are not actually together, even though you think they are at the beginning of the movie. They hooked up apparently, and Rob didn't contact her because he was moving to Japan and he didn't want to get involved. So, and then I'm just going to fast forward here. We get explosions outside the building and we see lights going off throughout the city, throughout different parts.
Ooh,
And yeah.
Can I just say, I thought it was pretty effective how they set that up, like when the chaos of the movie begins, because you know the boys are just like out on the fire escape or whatever, talking about Rob's situation with his lady, and then like things just happen. You're like, what was that? You know, so it's like it's really immersive feeling. Like I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, for sure.
They set up characters really good in this movie,
Yeah.
and I do commend them
did.
for that. It's a good story.
They had
It
just
is.
enough background time before they kind of got into the action that you had a feel for the characters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we
for
cared
sure.
enough about them. Yeah.
Yeah, just enough.
I would almost call this a date movie or a rom-com because it kind of is.
It kind of is.
I do remember a lot of
That-
my friends were going on dates to this movie. Yeah,
Here we go.
including my sister. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they go outside on this and they see that a tanker has, well, it's the news anchor. She's announced that a tanker capsized in the harbor near the Statue of Liberty. So everyone goes to the roof of the building to get a better look at what's going on. And we see explosions and rockets and everyone's just running down the street. And I love this visual of the head of the Statue of Liberty randomly sitting.
Yeah.
And he, yeah, it doesn't appear like he lives anywhere near the Statue of Liberty. So it's impressive that it got that far.
Yeah, he yeeted that thing down the street.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And can I just interject here for a second?
Yes, please.
I actually had to turn the movie off at that point for a minute. No, really, because I was like so overwhelmed with emotion at that time because I started thinking of September 11th
Gotcha.
I was
And it's
gonna
coming
say
up.
and where
yeah.
I was at that time and what happened. And I was like, this just got way too real right
Yeah.
now. So
That's
I
fair.
had to, I literally had to turn it off for like 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, I can come back to this, but I'm like flooded with emotions.
Do you
Yeah.
think
My,
that
my family's from New York. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a large tie there. So it was really like, okay, I gotta give myself a second.
I
And do
have
think-
to
do
ask
I think
you,
that they
like,
were trying to do that?
no,
Yeah.
no, I wasn't trying to say that. I think, do you think it was filmed in such a way that it felt like they were kind of recreating that day based
Oh,
off
yeah.
like
I
how the
do.
buildings were falling and how the, you know,
Yeah,
like I remember the smoke coming through the street. Like that was very,
exactly.
yeah.
As the smoke was billowing in, when all the people were outside and they were covered in ash and
Yeah.
everything, I was like,
Yeah.
this is just too much right now. So
Yeah.
I do remember that like J.J. Abrams had mentioned in an interview, because I did some research on the movie beforehand because I didn't know much about it. And I remember J.J. Abrams kind of said, not really a quote, but something similar to what Stephen King quoted one time, that we make our own horrors to help us cope with the real ones. And he knew that this was after 9/11. And if anything, it kind of evoked this, horror that was happening, but it was also to help us cope with it in a way, in a safe environment.
Right.
That makes sense.
And I think that's so unique to horror in general, and kind of the reason I think we're both into it. As a funeral director, I see death all the time. And horror is my escape from it. It's my fantasy. But also at the same time, it's like it's a safe way to experience it. And I think that's why a lot of people gravitate towards horror in that way. But on a lighter note, the head rolling into the street made me think of Escape from New York, the poster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very much so.
Yeah, and that's where the inspiration for the Cloverfield poster came from, apparently.
Makes sense.
And the whole idea with the Statue of Liberty was inspired by that.
Awesome.
Everything's happening with the Statue of Liberty in every sort of movie. You look at Planet of the Apes, it's on the beach.
Yeah.
You look at Day After Tomorrow, it's like snow over.
It's
the
on the
top of
cover.
it.
Yeah.
Give her a break.
That poor woman.
Yeah. I will say, for context, for the people that didn't see it when it initially came out, I think that this movie was much more horrifying in 2008 because 9/11 was still so fresh to so many people. So,
Totally.
So
I don't think anything had been maybe even fully rebuilt by then.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't even have the monument yet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So it still would have definitely been fresh.
Yeah, very fresh, especially for people in New York. Mm-hmm. All right, so we kind of get a glimpse briefly of creatures potentially causing, chaos in the city. And Jason is the first one that just we need to leave. We need to get out of Manhattan immediately. So they start to make their way towards the Brooklyn Bridge. And I'm sorry, Rob is an idiot. So while they're on the Brooklyn Bridge, Beth, the woman that he's in love with, calls him and is basically in urgent help. She's trapped in her building and she can't get out, and she's asking him to help her. And during this, while he's on the phone, it's kind of a lot is going on. Everybody's kind of getting separated. People are pushing past. They're waiting on Rob to find out what's going on. And so they're getting separated on the bridge. And then all of a sudden, a creature smashes the bridge and Jason gets crushed. First kill of the movie.
It was a full...
Full done.
And it wasn't even a hand. It was the tail.
It was the tail.
Yeah.
So it was accidental.
Yeah. Completely accidental.
Wrong place, buddy.
Yeah. Picked the wrong side of the bridge.
And if Rob would have gone further, he would have been right there with Jason. So Beth would have been... Sorry, Beth.
Well, I'm sorry. You're already so close. Just forget Beth.
Just keep going.
Be like Beth at the party.
Well, and the thing is that Beth's boyfriend that she showed up with, Travis, literally left the party and he escaped. He was literally out of Manhattan by the time that all this shit was going down.
Yeah.
You should have left with him.
That's the real tragedy.
I know.
So Rob, Hud, Lily, and Marlena, they're basically trying to decide what to do because the bridge is no longer an option. And during this, we're seeing the creatures, they're climbing the buildings, and we see militaries moving into the city to try to get things resolved. So what I thought was really cool is as you see these creatures moving and crawling on these buildings, you see things falling off of them, and we discover it's smaller little baby versions. And they're even worse.
Yeah, they're little parasites because this is Clover, I guess is the name of the monster.
Yes.
Clover is actually an infant.
Yes.
It's a baby monster.
Yep.
And I'm just what? So it's blindly walking around like a little baby bird trying to figure out what's going on.
Poor thing.
And it makes me so sad.
Yeah, it doesn't know that it's a terrible monster.
A poor thing.
Why are you guys running?
Just help.
It's lost. It's got parasites popping off of it. Poor thing.
It's a sick baby.
I know.
It needs a hug.
Help.
Just needs a hug. So Rob decides that he's going to go save Beth. Rob's brother's girlfriend is who Lily is. Lily agrees because Beth is her friend too, basically. And Hud and Marlene are like, no, you guys are stupid, but we have no other choice. I guess we're going with you.
Yeah.
So, they do some more running. They end up going down into the tunnels because they get stuck in the crossfire between the military and are firing on the creatures. So now they're down in the subway for quite a while.
Yeah, that's kind of the freakiest part because it's so claustrophobic, it's so dark. But
yeah,
goddamn, that little headset that they had a fucking camera on it that had night vision. So good for them.
Yeah, that's impressive for any camera in 2008.
I was going to say, they spent extra. Yeah, they spent extra. They're like, give me the night vision features. Give me everything.
Why did they want those night features in the first place?
Exactly.
Right?
Who knows? To me, the whole, in the tunnels vibe gave me like huge Starship Troopers kind of like feelings, especially with how the monsters looked and how they were attacking and all that.
Yeah.
Like that just kind of took me back to Starship Troopers, which I absolutely love.
That's a really good
love
comparison.
that movie.
Yeah. The monsters, that's what they looked like to me, is the baseline monsters on Starship Troopers, the ones that like flood and attack.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
what it reminded me of.
What did we all think of the look of the creature? Like,
my heart. Because it's just a baby.
Yeah.
It looks like the head looks like a anglerfish.
Yeah.
And like it almost kind of reminded me of like a baby bird, like just trying to open its eyes. So I'm just like, it can't see. The poor thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And it's like white, so it looks like a kind of weird fetus-y looking thing. So
yeah.
I'm also a mom, so my senses are like hypersensitive all the way up here. So my first reaction is just let's give this poor thing a hug. It just needs a
It just needs a mom. It just needs a mom and some companionship. That's all.
Ethan, what did you think of the creature?
I thought it was very cool looking. I have that written down here, that I thought the creatures were very cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie, what about you?
I loved the creatures. And Neville Page was the designer for the creature, which I thought was really cool. He's super talented. I like that they made it like a baby, who was kind of lost. And I will say that scene down in the tunnels, they originally used like puppets apparently for like the little guys.
That's cool.
But apparently it didn't turn out super great. They thought it looked too cheesy, so they had to add some CGI into that. But originally they were puppets.
That's cool that they try to use
cool.
practical effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So I like the creatures. I think they looked really cool. I think that it looks very different compared to most, space creatures nowadays. So I commend them on that. So back to our plot points. The group basically decides that it would just be easier and less dangerous to just walk the tunnels to Beth's apartment. They're already conveniently in the right tunnel, so they start walking towards Beth's apartment based off the maps that they have. And this is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. They notice that all the rats in the tunnel are all going in one direction.
Yeah.
And they're like, turn on the night vision. And I'm like, this is where I'm like, night vision, guys, really? But they turn on the night vision and then they look up and they see all these creatures are crawling on the ceiling. So that's why the rats are running. And then it's like full on attack mode.
I love when you got some creatures like lurking up above, because you're like looking out in front of you, right, into this like darkness. But the terror is above you. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I do too.
Spiders and shit, It's like, oh, no.
I know.
Ethan doesn't like spiders.
I'm right there with you, buddy. I had my husband kill a spider earlier. I felt deeply bad about it because here I'm this goth woman wearing like spiders as like jewelry and shit. And then I kill one of its own. And it's like, I thought you worshipped me.
I don't feel bad about it at all. I have a rule. If they're outside, cool. You can stay outside. I will not kill you if you're outside. But if you're in here, I pay the mortgage and you don't. And you ain't
Fair
helping
enough,
in no way. You
Fair
ain't doing a
enough.
dish. You ain't vacuuming a rug. You gotta go. You gotta
Out.
die. So
Yes, that's fair. Oh man, yeah, I love this moment in the film because the ultimate fear for anybody, I think, is the dark and the unknown. So it was really cool for them to use that because it is pitch black in those tunnels. There's no lights whatsoever. Like, no. So they start to attack, and we see Marlena gets the worst of it, which is really sad. She was my favorite character. She gets bitten and scratched, and like half of the skin on her back is like missing.
It looked
Yeah.
bad. Like that was a gnarly bite, man.
It was
Yeah,
really bad.
That was my favorite effect of the movie. I think though, like her bite looked so good.
Yeah.
I was just about to say the same thing, Jamie. That was probably my favorite thing in the whole movie was her bite. It looked
That looked good.
totally awesome.
Yeah.
It did. I was so bummed though. I was like, no, not the sarcastic, sassy girl.
No.
That quote with her, like he goes, "Wait, you know Superman?" And she's like, "Do you know Garfield?" That was funny.
I know.
That was definitely a great moment too. Yeah. She's great. And I also love how as the film progresses, Marlena kind of like gets more of a soft spot for HUD. And she's like, oh, he's not so bad. He's just a dork.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because of what's about to happen to Marlena.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
poor girl.
I
man.
I know. So there's like a small military group that they bump into each other, and then the military slowly escorts them to kind of like a makeshift hospital setting that's like in a mall or something like that's attached to the subway.
It's giving me like Dawn of the Dead vibes because it was all in the mall, and I was like,
Yeah.
is this gonna be like Chopping Mall or Dawn of the Dead that's gonna go on
Right.
here? Is like creatures gonna find their way in there too?
Yeah, it was really cool, and like everything was moving so fast you could barely register what was happening, which is I think how the characters would feel too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the military guys, they kind of realize that Marlena has been bitten, and they take her into quarantine. And this is like after she's like, I don't feel so good, and she's like bleeding from her eyes and her nose.
Not
Like,
a good sign.
Of course, you're not
Yeah.
feeling
No.
good.
Yeah, no. A little under the weather.
Just a little,
Walk it off, Marlene.
I might have a slight
Yeah.
fever, but otherwise I'm good.
a little.
I just
chilly
need
in here.
some rest.
Yeah.
You know? Be fine.
Yeah. And they do such a great job with this scene. You kind of see her behind a curtain, and all of a sudden it just like that's the
Yeah.
sound that it made. Just
it's like
she-
splat.
The
Yeah.
blood splat. Yep.
yeah, and it was just incredible. Like she's dead. She won't be back for 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, she like exploded.
She did. It was gnarly. It was cool.
Well, and the funny thing is too, because I noticed like there was a dude that like there was a military guy that was all sprawled out on the table, and he had his guts falling out. I'm
Yeah.
like, did that happen
Yeah.
to him too?
Yeah.
Was he?
I
also
think
a
so.
victim?
Yeah, probably. It was really cool. I wanted more of that, to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah.
Marlena's dead. So we just have Lily, Rob, and HUD now. And HUD's the only camera guy, so we can't lose HUD too soon. So the main military guy, he tells the group that they are basically considering what's called a hammer down protocol. So basically, they all have till 6 a.m. to get Beth and make their way back to 40th and Park before the military just pulls out and basically leaves New York City to just fend for itself.
Get nuked, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. That's what's going to happen. Yeah.
They're gonna full on like Return of Living Dead that shit. They're
Yeah.
trucks
Seriously.
and boom.
Knock it all down.
Yeah. So they continue to make their way. They decide to go up out of the subway and just walk the rest of the way on the streets. And another great scene is it's very haunting. You see this horse pulling an empty carriage, the horses that are meant to be for the tourists in Central Park. Like,
yeah.
I didn't see
I love that so much. It's a great scene
That's cool.
because it's got the blinders on and everything, and it's just walking, and it's a white horse too, so it's
Yeah.
even cooler.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just walking with an empty carriage, just aimlessly
spooky.
down the street.
I
It was
like
so
that.
spooky and so cool. Yeah. And they finally get to Beth's building, and it's like the Leaning Tower in Italy. Like it's just leaning into another building.
I love how they tried the elevators, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Right?
Gonna work. It's not straight anymore.
Yeah. Well, HUD has a great idea that he shares there. He's like, what if we just get into the building that it's leaning against, go all the way to the top, and then just climb over? And then they're like, okay. And he's like, wait, no, guys, I was kidding. So it's, and
Rob either really, really loved her, or he was really, really stupid, or a combination of both.
It could have been both.
Bit of both.
Yeah, it could have been both.
But I mean, if I'm trapped halfway across the city and I have a call to make, I'm sorry. I wouldn't ask anybody to come back for me. We'll get to it, but like, she's critically injured. She would have died, I feel like, before he got to her. But
it was right there on her left shoulder, man.
Yeah.
And it was a touch too close to the heart, in my opinion, but whatever. So
and I'm not a doctor, but when they pulled it out, don't you think she would have bled to death?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Right.
I'm a plumber, not a doctor, but I'm also not that stupid, so
Yeah.
They didn't have anything to cauterize that wound.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So they literally have to climb all like 60 stories to get to her. And
I see she'd have died right there, because after like the second flight, I've been like, I'm fat, I'm dead, you can die. See ya. Yeah. Nope.
I just know how winded I am after 4 flights. No.
I mean, our girl was wearing high heels. She had them in her hands at certain points, but that would be difficult.
Lily was a trooper. I don't know how she did that.
She had those heels on in the tunnels. Like,
I know.
No.
Bitch,
True
I
New
would have
Yorker.
stopped at Sephora or something
Yes.
in New York. Go get yourself some shoes.
Yes.
Right?
Always.
Heels are a commitment, not a fashion
She
statement.
did a good job.
She did.
Yeah, she did. She's the real hero of this movie.
She is.
Yeah. So yeah, Beth is basically pinned down by a steel rod right through the shoulder, and they just lift her up like it's no big deal.
Mhm.
And
Like
she's able to
1, 2, 3.
yeah, just yank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's able to do all those flights of stairs and all that, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
You could almost make the argument that she's running on pure adrenaline.
She
Yeah.
probably is.
Yeah.
I mean, think of how long she was there pinned down before he finally got to her.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So, no, I'm good. It's just a flesh wound. Come on, let's go.
for the sake of the movie, we have to end this in Central Park. Yeah. So we get back down to the ground floor. Missiles are being fired on this creature as they run through the streets. They find the military people that they were supposed to meet up, and Lily conveniently gets airlifted out. She's unofficially our final girl because she makes it out as far as we know. And Rob, Beth, and HUD are going to be next. They're on the next helicopter out, and they get in the helicopter, they take off, and they're just being flown through the city. We're seeing the military fire the bombs and missiles at the creature. All these creatures. One creature goes down, and it looks like he's dead. It looks like they finally killed one. Right before he reaches up out of the fog and grabs the helicopter. Oh, so cool.
It was a sweet little moment. Yeah.
It was probably one of the better jump scares I've seen in a while. Like, going back to it, it was pretty cool.
Like, two questions were going through my mind at that point. Like, Sir flying the helicopter, did you not see that coming? Or were you actually trying to, like, dodge missiles because you're in a specific route? Like, what was going on?
Yeah.
I think he was a little too low to the ground, to be honest. I've seen helicopters fly much higher. I don't know why he was that close. I wouldn't be.
You didn't think the boy could jump?
Right?
Right?
He's got giant arms.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get out of there. Look, I mean, he's just trying to fly. He doesn't know where he's going. He's just trying to get the hell out of there.
He can't see. He's looking for his mom.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to spot her house. Hey, guys, there's my mom's house.
So somehow the three of them survive. I don't know how, but they survive. And what's great is HUD goes to pick up the camera because we must keep filming. His commitment to this
at all
job.
costs.
Yeah.
The whole
good.
entire movie.
Good for
Yeah.
him, though. What a
I
committed
know.
Yeah. It's like, I think we're done filming the farewells. We don't need to keep this. But yeah. So HUD goes to pick up the camera, and unfortunately, that's the last decision he makes because he becomes food.
He gets snapped the fucking half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he
sure
does.
does. Yeah. And they didn't even want like all of him. They spit his head back out.
They
That's
basically were like, the way I see it is like the baby just had a little tasty taste, and was like, no.
Yeah.
don't
They're
like
like,
it.
no, he tastes funny.
It's like what
Yeah.
my son does with like little Cheetos and shit. You like put that in his mouth, and it's just like, no.
Maybe it's the wrong blood type. Maybe the creature doesn't like a blood type. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe he tastes, like beer and, Cheetos. And he's like, no,
No,
Not for me.
not good.
not for
Too
me.
much alcohol in the bloodstream.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, he's dead. And I also love how the camera survives kind of half being chomped. And
Camera.
It's durable,
Rob and Beth,
durable stuff.
they keep filming because why wouldn't they?
Why not?
And they
Yeah,
get their last
their best friend
testimonials,
Right.
Their best
Well, the
friend
camera
just
would have
died.
lasted because it was 2008 and they were like the size of Cadillacs. So
Yeah,
That's
that
true.
was-
Set
It was
them
probably a
generator.
Nokia.
I mean,
Tank.
That's true. Yeah, so Rob and Beth, they're just under a bridge in Central Park, and they're just waiting, hoping that the military will come find them and rescue them, basically. And as they do, they're basically giving their last testimonials, brief synopsis of what happened in New York, and then explosions, and we assume that they're dead because
They
the
get
camera was
covered in
found.
rubble.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
get buried.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
But they
then
get to
on
say,
this,
I love you.
yeah, good for them. That's all that
Yes.
matters.
he's like, bitch, you better love me out after everything I did. You better love me.
He's dying for her. And then, the property of the U.S. government labels on the opening and end credits, which is a great extra effect.
Did you watch the end part of it?
Yes.
There was like an extra credit
talking-
scene at the end.
Oh,
like
I
you
didn't
talking
see
after
that.
the credits?
Yeah.
Oh, see, my attention
I missed
span wasn't
that.
there.
Well,
I
I
missed it.
unfortunately watched it because my son woke up and was crying. And I was just like, oh, there's something going on at the end. So I had to like rewind it because I'm like, oh, son, give me a second. And so it was like, it was a message that was playing back like it was in reverse.
Yeah.
And apparently I looked it up and it said the message was, it's alive. It's still
Yeah.
alive.
Oh.
Setting up a sequel. Yeah.
Okay.
That was so weird. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, what is that? I missed that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're going to get
Definitely
into
turned it off. before that point.
2008 was like the beginning of those end credit scenes.
Oh yeah.
So let's get into some fun facts, Jamie, and then we'll talk about what we thought of the movie.
Perfect. Okay. I already told some fun facts in there, but I got some other good ones. There's lots of good fun facts about this one. It was kind of inspired by Godzilla, which I think is kind of
Can see
clear.
that. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah. The actors didn't get to read the script before they auditioned. They didn't actually get to read the script until after they signed and like were on contract. For their auditions, they had them read like scenes from some of Abrams' like shows. And so the actors really didn't know what kind of movie it was per se until they actually signed on and then got to read the script. So
Yeah, because J.J. Abrams did Lost and Alias before this,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he was just starting to get into movies at this
He's
point.
like a sci-fi kind of guy. He really wasn't a horror dude.
Yeah,
No.
totally. Theaters started to warn people about motion sickness because apparently over 100 people were reported to leave theaters because they got motion sickness. I always
my
kind of like
God.
question
I believe
those,
it.
like all these people left the theater, but for motion sickness, I could see it because I felt it a couple times. So.
Yeah,
For
that
sure.
happened to me with the original Blair Witch in theaters. I got motion
Yeah.
sick. Couldn't
Yeah.
finish it.
I could totally see it. Okay. Part of their marketing was they made MySpace profiles for all the characters.
Oh, that's
fun.
I love
It was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and they changed HUD's height to half his size once the movie came out, since he was bitten in half. And I'm like, you guys had fun with
That's
this.
cool.
That's so
Um,
funny.
some of the footage is actually shot by the actors, and when people fell down, when they were running in scenes and stuff, they just tried to use it in the movie. So some of the fumbling around and stuff was real.
That's cool.
Apparently there's some hidden images in the movie. They're really, really brief, and I didn't catch them. But apparently there's an image from King Kong, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and them.
Yes.
Keeping in the monster theme. I didn't see them, but apparently they're in there. Let me see. Okay, so this was shot in LA and New York. The Sephora building that they're standing in front of at one point. It's in LA. It wasn't an actual Sephora. It was an electronics store that they had Sephora, dressed for them. And apparently people in the area were really disappointed because they saw a Sephora and thought they were getting a Sephora, but they were not.
What were
That's hilarious.
Okay. So was Sephora also promotional material for the actual movie? Because did they sponsor it? Because
I'm guessing so.
what does Cloverfield Sephora products look like? I need to know.
I know Sephora was just kind of coming onto the scene when this movie came out, so that's funny.
I hope that for the anniversary of this movie, maybe Sephora does a special line. They should. I mean, we should all love it.
Yes, I want to smell like clover.
Yes. Okay. Part of the reason they picked TJ Miller was because they had him improv a lot during this thing. They wanted to kind of throw the other actors off sometimes. So they told him to change up lines and throw stuff in there every once in a while to keep everybody on their toes.
Oh, interesting.
Love that.
Good idea.
And then our beloved monster, our little Clovey or Clover, was on screen for all of 2 minutes and 37 minutes. 2 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's all we see of the monster.
But it was
That's
effective.
Yeah.
It was great. Those are some great facts, Jamie. I didn't know most of those.
I didn't know any
That's
of them.
neat. And it's kind of like a Jaws effect with it, because Jaws, you barely saw him in the first movie, and it's kind of that. The less you see of the monster, the more scarier it is.
Yeah. Which honestly, with monster movies, I'm really for that philosophy. I think it's great to have a well done monster and see it, but I think the less we see of it, the better.
For sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna get into rating this movie, and then have we all seen 10 Cloverfield Lane?
I have.
Okay, so I'll ask everybody else but Ethan. I'll ask everybody what they thought of this compared to that. And then we'll get into wrapping things up. All right, so our guests, please tell us what you guys thought of this movie.
So for me, I respect it a lot because of what they were doing. The whole found footage aspect of it kind of did help spark some later movies to do the whole found footage after it and stuff. I thought it was really ambitious. I loved knowing that they didn't have the script. Thank you, Jamie, for that, because that's crazy. I mean, talk about a leap of faith as an actor, to just basically, they're trusting either it's the company, they're trusting the director or the writers. It's one of those three. So all in all, not a bad movie. I don't own it, so that should say, because that's kind of how I measure everything is do I own it? Because I have a pretty massive collection. I do not own it. I think it has its place, but to me, it's forgettable. It's not that it's a bad movie. I do love that it did kind of help some of these younger stars, go on. TJ Miller, obviously. I forget the kid's name, but he was in Sons of Anarchy later on to do some stuff. Yeah. So I think it's definitely a profound movie in that aspect. I love that they tried to be ambitious, but all in all, it's not a bad movie. I would say that I don't own it and I wouldn't rewatch it. So
yeah.
What about you, Ivy?
So I already kind of stated in the beginning, I thought it was good for what it was. I mean, genuinely, when you think of a found footage film, it's usually going to be something that's low budget, either because you don't have enough money or anything like that, and you want to tell a story. But in this case, J.J. Abrams has a shit ton of money, and he literally threw this thing, money at this thing. And the fact that he used the money, though, effectively to create a larger story on a larger scale is really well done for a found footage film, I think. I think that's very interesting that he would do something like that. And I think, yes, it probably did spawn off to help Paranormal Activity later on, which also threw a shit ton of money at it as well, but was still, on the more low budget side. But I do think it's good. I also do not own the movie either. Same thing. I'm not a big kaiju person. I did grow up with Godzilla, and I did grow up with King Kong and a lot of like Mothra and other things like that because my dad really liked the kaiju genre. But for me, it never really was a thing that I really could get into. So it really, I'm more of a King Kong girly. I like him, but I don't know. I couldn't get into Cloverfield because I'm turned off whenever I hear like alien stuff because there was also talk of him potentially being an alien. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like something I would like. So I didn't really know too much about it. But when it came to 10 Cloverfield Lane, are we talking about that yet?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. Go into it. Just rip it off.
Because with 10 Cloverfield Lane, I thought it was more unique. So that's why I was like, it was more of the unknowns. It was kind of like Don't Breathe in a sense, where you just don't know what the hell's going on. It's kind of that same setup. This girl's basically being kept by John Goodman of all people.
I'm a huge John Goodman fan.
Same. Like seeing him in this role as like kind of a psychopath, or at least that you think he kind of still is. But he's a psychopath, and he's usually like this lovable kind of guy, is just such a neat role for him to play that it hooked me, and then it lost me at the end because aliens, and I was like, all right, whatever. This is what it is. But I think seeing Cloverfield finally kind of gave me more context, and it's like I respect Cloverfield on its own, whereas I feel like 10 Cloverfield Lane is more of like a script maybe that was in like the graveyard of scripts, and J.J. Abrams like, I could use that.
I can adapt this to my three-parter.
So that's kind of how I feel about it.
And I think found footage films can really be a double-edged sword. I think on the one hand they can be extremely creepy and spooky if done right, like parts of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, very good. But then on the flip side of that, they can be hokey and they can be kind of like, that's not, not very cool. So I think it's a double-edged sword. So I definitely, commend them for, going out and do that. Definitely. But at 10 Cloverfield Lane, I liked it better because it was like more mysterious. You didn't exactly know what's going on. And it kind of, the more that you watch, the more you kind of, uncover. Like I said, John Goodman's in it. So it's going to be better no matter what for me. So, but ultimately I put 10 Cloverfield Lane above Cloverfield in my opinion.
Agreed.
Okay.
Miss Jamie, what about you?
Okay, so found footage for me, it can either be really, really great and feel really immersive and creative and creepy and like, make you feel like you're right there with them and it's effective. And I think Cloverfield Lane does a few of those things like really effectively. I mean, it's a solid found footage movie. I think they like use the handheld thing really well. Sometimes it's a little much for me. I literally felt like motion sickness, but they didn't do too much of it. That being said, I did like the second one, Cloverfield Lane, much better, and that's because I really like small cast, like driven pieces, and that's what this was. And I like when it's a small setting. You basically have your characters in one place most of the time, and that movie did that. The acting was great. The story was more interesting to me. I don't own Cloverfield Lane. If I was going to say like my top 3 favorite found footage, it probably wouldn't be in there, but it's still solid. I would rate it somewhere in the middle. If I were going to give it a number, it'd probably be like 6 or something.
Yeah, same here.
That's a fair assessment.
So kind of in the middle.
7 or 6,
Okay. So going back, like, I remember I loved this movie when I first saw it, and going back, I was just like, it's all right. Like, I appreciate the story. I don't really care for the characters. I think that it's illogical to go back for a girl you don't really know just for the hopes that it might work out. Like, it seemed a bit illogical to me, but I mean, overall, like, I think it has its place in horror, and the impact that it made is, I think it's very underappreciated for what it did do for horror, particularly found footage. And, people don't really appreciate found footage the way I think they should, because it's a great way to tell a story. It really is. Are there some hokey ones out there? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's fun to riff on them. So, and when they do it well, it's really done well. So I don't own Cloverfield either, because like I said, I have not seen this since I saw it in theaters. I do own 10 Cloverfield Lane though, because I think that was a much better movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like Jamie said, I like smaller casts. I love when it's just in one location too, and it feels very claustrophobic. And the unknown factor of like what's going on, and also, you know, having seen Cloverfield before this, I was like, how does this relate to the first movie? This isn't a found footage movie at all. Yeah. So I do like 10 Cloverfield Lane more, but I do think that this one is a decent movie. Should, in my opinion, at least watch it once. If I had to give it a number, I'd probably say it's like a 6. It's not, you're probably never going to rewatch it again, but it's worth at least one look over.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to get it to Ethan.
Okay. Well, if you know me or if you've ever listened to the podcast, I absolutely hate found footage movies. They are my least favorite subgenre of horror. I would rather be beaten in the head with a hammer than have to watch them. So thanks for making me do this.
Chop Top can make that happen.
Exactly. So when it first started and, you know, we got the camera moving there and the dates came up, I was like, oh, God, this is going to be a horrible 2 hours of my life. I hate this. I cussed you a little bit, Nina. As a matter of fact, not just in my head, I actually texted her and cussed her. I really did. I didn't think the cast was that bad. Some of the things that happened were, you know, unbelievable, like her, you know, him running back for this chick that, you know, he's supposedly in love with. But Thea Rossby in the movie was great because Sons of Anarchy is like one of my favorite shows ever.
You're welcome.
Yes, yeah, I appreciate that. She recommended that. She recommended that to me. Loved the look of the creature. Although it wasn't on for long, it did have a really cool look. I do not own the Blu-ray or the DVD. Will not be buying it.
Yeah.
Will not be watching it again. If I had to give it, it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever seen.
Okay.
As far as found footage, I would say I would give it a 3.
Okay.
Watch it. Yeah, I would give it a 3. Had it not been found footage, and had just been a regular horror movie, I think I probably would have gave it a 7. I liked the story. That was all good, but the found footage just lost it for me. So I'm going to have to say a 3. I'll never watch it again.
I did want to mention, first off, I'm glad you did like it. And I do agree. I think it would have been better, not as a found footage. And that's one of the few times you'll ever get me to say that. But one of my favorite lines from the movie is at the very end where you just see them die and it goes back to their date. And she's just like, this was the best day ever. And it like fades to black. That's my favorite because I love dark endings. I was like, it was.
So I was like, if you look at the date, I believe it said April on that film. And I was almost like wait a second. What if that's from April the previous or the following year? And they actually did survive.
Oh, interesting.
But I was like, I don't think that's could be, but no, I just was like, that would be interesting. I wanted it to be, but for a second I thought, what if it could be?
There's also a little part like at the end where like you see something land in the ocean and I don't know what the hell that was. I'm like, is that the monster? Is that something that made the monster the way it was? Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, I think it's more creatures coming.
And I will say, I read that they're gonna be doing another Cloverfield movie that's going to be like a direct sequel to the original one.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know much about it, but I read that that was announced like maybe a year ago or something like that. Or there's supposed to be a sequel to the original one coming, so it'd be the 4th Cloverfield movie.
Yeah, there is a third one. It didn't go to theaters. It went straight to
Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah.
I
think I tried to watch it and I don't remember anything about it because it was like in space. It took place in space during the initial event.
That would have lost me. It's space. Nope.
See, I love space and I love aliens. I think aliens are creepy. but like it took me a while to get there. But yeah, I understand the turnoff because sometimes when they're brought up, it can be really hokey.
You're a Jason X fan. Don't lie. Don't lie.
Yes.
That's all. I'm a Jason Takes Manhattan. That's my all-time
I like
favorite.
that one too.
Oh, everybody
That one's
hates
fun.
it. Oh,
No,
I love it. I love it.
it's fun. It's so fun. Everybody hates
It
on
is
that
fun.
one, but I enjoy that one. I
I
enjoy the
like-
hell out of that one.
Yeah, I like
love
Manhattan.
City. Yeah, Manhattan's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Jason
love
Lives
Jason
is my
X because they
favorite.
have that simulation and everything, and he's like, "Wait,
That was
what?"
funny. They
Yeah.
had like kind of a Star Trek thing going there, where like
Yeah.
the simulation room.
It was really
Yeah.
cool.
It had its moments.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so this is Cloverfield. Give it a shot. It does have its own little place in history. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug before we close things out?
I think just our event again on the 27th, if y'all can make it, would be really cool for Cult of Blood.
Yeah. And then, you can basically follow us on whatever, Spotify, YouTube, just look up Blood in the Cornfields. Anywhere.
We update our Instagram all the time.
Yeah,
not
but-
really our Facebook, not really our Twitter or X.
Okay.
What the
Yeah,
hell ever
But
it's
yeah,
called.
we try to be super interactive. I don't know if I'll be able to get to go down, but there's one of the haunted houses actually up by you guys in Chicago. Talking to a guy, I want to try and get an appearance on that and stuff. But yeah, we're very active. So I mean, we may team up to do something in that Chicago
Let's do
area
it.
with you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually have. So isn't Steve from up that way?
Yes, Steve.
So yeah, we have some people we do events with that are kind of up from that way. So and I'm
Awesome.
definitely looking forward to the Days of Dead Chicago. So
Yes.
Awesome.
yeah, I think
Wow.
I saw you guys briefly. Were you in Indy
Yes.
last time? Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Nice.
So I was. There were some friends of mine. Yeah, I thought you guys looked familiar. So
Yep, that's where we were.
awesome.
But yeah, we'll definitely be in talks, and we'll put all of your information on our page, and we'll put it in the description for this video as well.
And we'll
So
plug
that
the
way
shit
people
out
can
of you on
find you.
Instagram.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you
Appreciate
guys
it.
so much again
Yes.
for having us. This is an honor.
Yep, we really appreciate it.
We do appreciate
Well,
it.
thanks for coming on. It was great.
Yeah, thank
It was
you.
great. We'd love to have you
definitely
back.
Yeah, we definitely have to do this again, guys.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
for sure.
yeah.
We'd love to do like a review on our show.
Yeah, maybe
We
we'll
would love
flip flop.
that.
Maybe we'll flip
Let's
flop.
do-
You guys,
Absolutely.
Yes.
we'll entertain you on our show.
That would be fun.
Awesome. Just
All
let
right.
us know when.
Yeah. And guys, just remember, if you ever find yourself in a horror movie, don't have sex.
Don't do drugs.
And certainly don't die. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.